Welcome to our deep dive. Today we're tackling back pain, and specifically,
Ooh, back pain.
we'll be looking at Professor Stuart McGill's book, Back Mechanic.
Okay.
The goal is for all of us to become our own back mechanics.
I like that.
And joining me today is an expert who knows how to synthesize
Oh, great.
complex information
Yeah.
and make it really, really easy to understand for everyday life.
I try my best. I'm excited for this. Professor McGill, completely changed how we think about back pain. It's not just about treating symptoms. It's about finding lasting solutions. It's about getting to the root cause.
That's what we want.
Exactly.
So let's just jump right into it. The first myth that I always hear is back pain is all in your head.
Oh, that's a classic. But McGill, he completely debunks that.
Does he?
Of course, while psychological factors can play a role, like their perception of pain,
Okay.
the book really highlights that back pain almost always stems from an actual physical problem, whether it's a damaged disc or a strained ligament or an issue with the facet joints.
I see.
The key is to find the specific anatomical reason rather than dismissing it as, oh, it's all in your head.
So what about the idea that if you just ignore back pain, it'll eventually go away?
Another misconception.
Really?
Professor McGill brings up this idea of sensitization.
Okay.
It means that when you repeatedly irritate an injured tissue, it actually amplifies those pain signals.
So kind of like,
Think about it like a cut that keeps reopening.
oh, ouch.
It won't heal properly, and it becomes super sensitive.
Makes sense.
And it's the same with back pain.
So should we just stay in bed all day if we have back pain?
Well, that's another myth that McGill tackles.
Oh, really?
While rest is important in the initial acute phase of an injury, staying in bed for too long, it actually weakens muscles, stiffens those joints,
Right.
and it can really slow down that healing process.
So it's kind of like,
Your spine needs movement to thrive.
so what about things like yoga and Pilates, which are often recommended for back pain sufferers? Do they actually help?
So, while yoga and Pilates can be beneficial for some, Professor McGill is cautious about viewing them as a universal remedy.
Okay.
Certain movements might worsen existing conditions.
Oh,
He emphasizes individual assessment,
right.
exercise selection based on your specific needs.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Exactly.
Now, this is another common belief I hear quite often. If I just strengthen my muscles,
Ah, the muscle myth.
will that automatically prevent back pain or take care of it?
Well, the book directly challenges this assumption.
Okay.
While strength is important, Professor McGill says it's not just about brute force.
Held in.
Focusing only on strength training can neglect, really, the crucial elements of endurance and stability, particularly those muscles that support the spine, your core.
Okay, so you're talking endurance and stability.
Those are key.
So how do we go about building those qualities?
It's about a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
You have to target specific muscle groups and movement patterns.
So it's kind of like,
He talks about exercises that enhance endurance and control.
oh, so it's not just about lifting the heaviest weight.
Not at all. One of his most interesting ideas is spine hygiene, which is basically learning how to move throughout your day in ways that minimize the stress on your spine.
Spine hygiene. Now that sounds intriguing. Can you tell me more about that?
Imagine it as a set of rules for how you sit, stand, bend, lift, and even how you carry things.
Wow.
It's about being mindful of your posture and consciously choosing to protect your spine.
So it's not just about exercise. It's
Right.
how we live our lives every single day.
Precisely.
That's incredible. Now, before we move on to discussing the mechanics of back pain and common injury mechanisms,
Sure.
what for you was the most surprising thing you learned in Professor McGill's work?
What really struck me was how he dismantles this belief that certain conditions, like
Yeah.
a herniated disc,
Oh, yeah.
are a death sentence for an athlete.
Right.
He actually gives examples of athletes who not only recovered from severe back injuries, but achieved even greater success
Wow.
by applying his principle.
That's amazing.
It shows how resilient our spines can be if we give them the proper support and guidance.
That's really inspiring. It really emphasizes that knowledge and a proactive approach can empower us to take control of our back health.
Exactly.
So with this foundation, let's explore the inner workings of our backs.
Let's do it. Let's imagine we're taking a journey into this intricate structure, your spine,
Okay.
this amazing piece of engineering that supports everything you do.
Right.
It's basically a flexible column made up of these individual bones.
Okay.
Call them vertebrae.
And between the vertebrae are those discs.
Exactly. Those discs.
Those gel-filled cushions.
Exactly. They act as shock absorbers
Yeah.
between each vertebra.
Okay.
Enabling that flexibility, absorbing impact, but they do more than just cushion.
Oh, so tell me, what else do they do?
Each disc has this tough outer layer called the annulus fibrosus. It surrounds a gel-like center, which is the nucleus pulposus.
Okay.
This structure allows the disc to withstand huge amounts of compressive force.
So like a sophisticated shock absorber?
Like in a car.
Okay.
Yes, it's not just about cushioning, it's about distributing force properly.
Now, what about the facet joints? Where do those fit into the spine?
The facet joints are small,
Okay.
but they are crucial. They connect the vertebrae,
I see.
they guide their movement, allowing for a wide range of motion
Right.
while maintaining stability.
Okay.
Think of them as these tiny hinges
Oh, okay.
that facilitate bending, twisting, and extending.
I'm picturing that now. And of course, we can't forget the ligaments and muscles that are so important for the spine.
Absolutely. So ligaments, these strong fibrous bands, connect bone to bone.
Right.
They provide passive stability.
Okay.
And the muscles that surround your spine, they're the real powerhouses. They create movement, maintain your posture,
Yeah.
protect your spine from getting hurt.
It's amazing how they all work together, like a symphony.
It really is. But like with any complex system, things can go wrong. And understanding these potential problems is so important.
So let's talk about that. What are some of the ways that things can go wrong, those common injuries that can happen in our backs?
As we mentioned, those discs, incredibly strong,
Yes.
but repeated or excessive stress can damage that outer layer,
Okay.
especially if you have bad posture or you're lifting things incorrectly.
And that can lead to...
That can lead to a disc bulge or herniation.
So that's when the nucleus pushes out.
Exactly. The nucleus protrudes through the weakened parts of the annulus
And they can
that can press on nearby nerves.
Okay.
And that's
You
when,
really feel it.
yeah, and that can also cause sciatica, where it travels down the legs.
It's not just disc problems, right?
You're right. Another one is end plate damage.
End plates, what are those?
Imagine those vertebrae as building blocks. The end plates are those flat surfaces
Okay.
at the top and bottom
Right.
where they meet the discs.
So the connection point.
Exactly. They're like the contact points.
Got it.
These end plates can get damaged
Okay.
by too much compression,
Oh.
leading to small fractures or irregularities,
It can...
which can disrupt the smooth function of the spine,
Right.
causing pain and stiffness.
So we've got those disc problems, the end plate issues, anything else that can go wrong with the spine?
Well, there's this thing called spondylolisthesis.
Sondylo, what?
Spondylolisthesis, it's when one vertebra slips forward
Okay.
compared to the one below it.
Slipping vertebrae, why does that happen?
It could be several things, maybe congenital defects, fractures, or degenerative changes in the spine.
And I imagine that slippage can put pressure on nerves, causing even more pain and problems.
Often, yes. Another condition is spinal stenosis.
Stenosis, remind me what that is again?
Stenosis is the narrowing of the spinal canal, that's the passageway,
Uh-huh.
that has your spinal cord and nerves.
So less space for everything.
Exactly, less space for those vital pathways.
And that can be caused by...
It could be caused by bone spurs, thickened ligaments, or even bulging discs.
Oh, so all those things are connected.
Yeah.
And when those nerves get compressed...
You can have pain,
Right.
numbness, weakness, even problems with your bowel and bladder.
We tend to think about back pain as being related to those structural problems.
Right.
But what about muscle pain?
Muscle pain is definitely a factor.
Yeah.
But what we often think of as muscle pain
Mhm.
might not be a simple muscle strain.
Okay.
It could actually be a sign of some underlying spinal instability.
So the muscles are working overtime
Exactly.
to make up for the problems in the spine.
They're trying to stabilize the spine when it's not getting the right support,
Well, yeah.
and that constant overuse can lead to muscle fatigue, spasms, pain.
Makes sense.
But we need to address the root cause.
Right, not just the symptoms.
Exactly. Treating just the muscle pain without fixing the spinal issue.
Okay.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone.
So how can we prevent all this from happening in the first place?
We have to be aware of our posture, how we lift things,
Okay.
how we move throughout the day. Remember spine hygiene?
Yes, being mindful of every movement we make.
Exactly. It can make a big difference over time. And when we exercise,
Yeah.
we need to choose activities that strengthen and stabilize the spine
Right.
without making things worse.
Which leads us to...
Which brings us to the big three and walking.
Right. Those seem to be Professor McGill's favorite ways to build a resilient back.
They are. Before we dive into those, I want to shift gears for a minute.
Okay.
We've been talking science, but what do you think, what's the biggest mistake people make when it comes to their backs?
That's a good question. I think ignoring those early warning signs, those little aches we brush off is just getting older.
I agree. People wait until the pain is really bad.
Right.
By then, the problem might be much worse.
So early intervention is key.
Exactly. Listen to your body. Don't wait until it's screaming at you.
Great advice. Let's move on to solutions. What can we do to feel better and prevent future pain? So we've explored how the spine works and learned about all those things that can go wrong.
And now we get to the good stuff.
Right, the
And
solutions.
solutions.
Professor McGill emphasizes this self-assessment as like a crucial step to taking control of your back. So what does he actually mean by that?
Well, he wants us to be proactive, so like individuals become active in their recovery.
Okay.
It's about figuring out your own pain triggers
Okay.
and then tailoring your strategies to those instead of just blindly following advice.
Okay.
It's about becoming informed
Okay.
about your own well-being.
Right. Becoming your own back mechanic.
Exactly.
How do we do that? How do we self-assess?
It starts with observation.
Okay.
And experimentation, the book has these movements and positions that are meant to trigger pain, so you can pinpoint the exact actions that are causing you problems.
It's kind of like
So for example, if bending forward makes your pain worse,
Okay.
that's a big clue.
Right. And what other kinds of movements, besides bending forward, can reveal those triggers?
You could try extending your spine backward,
Okay.
or twisting, or even just holding certain positions for a while.
Okay.
It's all about really paying attention to how your body feels and noticing which things consistently make the pain worse.
Okay. And once we figured out what those triggers are, what's next?
Then we can start getting creative and finding workarounds. So can you change those problematic movements?
Okay.
Can you find a different way to do the same task without triggering the pain?
So for instance,
Like if bending from your spine is a problem,
okay.
can you learn to hip hinge instead?
Right. So bending at the hips.
Exactly. Instead of rounding your back can really make a difference.
And I imagine that.
And if certain positions are uncomfortable, you can look for ways to adjust your posture or use things to help support you and lessen the strain.
Right. So like a lumbar roll or a pillow.
It can make a big difference, these small changes.
It's amazing, isn't it, how these small adjustments
Yeah.
can have such a big impact.
It's all about being in tune with your body's signals.
Yeah.
Finding those things that work for you. But it's not just about avoiding pain.
Oh, so there's more.
Professor McGill also says we need to find movements that actually relieve pain.
So we need to be proactive.
Yes.
Find those moves that can actually help us heal.
By incorporating those pain-relieving movements into your day, you can start to retrain your brain and your body,
Right.
breaking those old pain patterns
Okay.
and creating new, healthier habits.
It's like we're rewiring our brains,
You got it.
teaching our bodies how to move in a way that helps, not hurts.
That's a great way to put it.
So it sounds like Professor McGill's approach really empowers individuals
It does.
to take charge, right?
Yes, it gives you guidelines and tools, but ultimately you're in control.
Oh.
You have to figure out what works best for your body.
So you're not just passively receiving advice.
No.
You're really taking part in that healing process.
Exactly. And Professor McGill actually outlines these specific exercises.
Okay.
They're designed to build that resilient back we're talking about.
Right. His big three. Tell me about those. What makes them so great?
They're designed for stability
Okay.
without stressing your spine too much.
So it's about those deep, stabilizing muscles.
Precisely. Not just about lifting heavy weights.
God, and those exercises are.
The modified curl up, the side bridge, and the bird dog.
And those, when done correctly, can really help with stability and prevent injuries.
Exactly. And then we can't forget about walking, Professor McGill's favorite.
Right. He loves walking. Why is that?
Walking, when done right, is amazing for your spine.
Oh, okay.
It lubricates your joints, strengthens those muscles, improves circulation, and just overall well-being.
This sounds so simple.
It is. It's low impact.
Right.
It can be adapted for anyone.
So how should we be walking?
Start slowly and gradually increase your pace and distance. Pay attention to your posture. Keep that spine neutral.
Okay.
Take little breaks during the day to move around.
Okay.
And you can even use trekking poles for some extra stability and to engage those upper body muscles.
It sounds like walking is an easy and effective way to keep our spines happy.
Absolutely.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive into Professor McGill's back mechanic,
Yes.
I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
Professor McGill often calls back pain a teacher. What do you think he means by that?
I think he's saying that back pain, even though it's difficult, can help us grow and learn about ourselves.
Okay.
It forces us to listen to our bodies, to really understand what they're telling us,
Right.
to make better choices for our health.
So instead of thinking of back pain as the enemy,
Mm-hmm.
we can look at it as a chance to improve.
Exactly. It's a wake-up call
Okay.
telling us to take better care of ourselves, try new ways of moving, and really understand how our bodies work.
So becoming our own back mechanics is more than just fixing the pain. It's about self-care and empowerment.
Well said. It's about taking charge of our health and finding a way to live a more active life without all that pain.
Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through Professor McGill's back mechanic. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
The feeling is mutual. These conversations are so important because they can help people live healthier lives.
And for those who want to learn more, we recommend picking up a copy of Back Mechanic. It's full of great information and practical strategies.
It is. It's a fantastic resource.
And before we go, let's recap those key takeaways.
Great idea. Let's summarize everything.
Number one, back pain is rarely nonspecific. There's almost always a physical reason.
Number 2, don't ignore those early warning signs that can make things worse. Listen to your body and get help if you need it.
Number 3, staying in bed for a long time isn't the answer. Your spine needs to move.
Number 4, yoga and Pilates are great, but they're not for everyone. Choose exercises that work for your body.
Number 5, building muscle isn't enough. Focus on endurance and stability too.
Number 6, practice good spine hygiene. Move in ways that protect your back.
Number 7, learn the hip hinge. It's essential for protecting your spine while lifting and bending.
Number 8, try the big 3 exercises to strengthen your core.
Number 9, make walking a part of your routine. It's a simple but powerful way to take care of your spine.
And number 10, remember, back pain can teach you a lot. Use it as a chance to learn and prioritize your health.
There you have it, 10 takeaways to help you become your own back mechanic and live a more active life free of pain. Until next time, stay healthy and keep learning.